Imagine walking down the aisle and smelling freshly ground coffee beans right next to a loud vacuum tube tester, or saving little green stamps just to get a new toaster for your kitchen. Here are 10 old grocery store features that have vanished forever. S&H Green Stamps were a massive part of the mid-20th century shopping experience, acting as an early retail loyalty program. Created by the Sperry and Hutchinson Company, these tiny stamps were handed out by cashiers based on how much money you spent. Shoppers would take them home, eagerly lick them, and paste them into dedicated collector booklets. Once you've filled enough books, you could take them to a local redemption center to get household goods like toasters, lawnmowers, or even furniture. During the 1960s, the company was printing more stamps than the U.S. Postal Service. However, as economic recessions hit in the 1970s and grocery stores looked to cut costs by simply lowering prices, the stamp programs were largely abandoned. Today, digital loyalty apps have entirely replaced this sticky, nostalgic tradition. Individual price stickers were an absolute necessity before the barcode scanner transformed the checkout process. Every single can of soup, box of cereal, and loaf of bread had to be manually stamped with a price gun by a store clerk. These clerks would walk the aisles with pricing tools, rapidly stamping purple or black numbers onto tin cans and cardboard boxes. When you reached the checkout, the cashier had to read every sticker and manually type the price into a mechanical cash register. This process was incredibly labor-intensive and left plenty of room for human error. The introduction of the Universal Product Code in 1974 at a Marsh supermarket in Ohio changed everything. Once laser scanners became standard in the 1980s, the rhythmic click-clack of the pricing gun faded into history. Vacuum tube testers were a beloved fixture in grocery stores from the 1950s through the early 1970s. Back then, televisions and radios relied on glass vacuum tubes, which frequently burned out and left families without their evening entertainment. Instead of calling an expensive repairman, you could remove the glowing glass tubes and bring them to your local supermarket. The store provided a large self-service machine where you could plug in each tube to test its strength. If the machine's needle dropped to the red zone, you could conveniently buy a brand new tube from the cabinet below. As solid-state electronics and transistors replaced vacuum tubes in the late 1970s, these machines became obsolete. The familiar glow and humming sound of the tube tester was quietly removed from the grocery store entrance forever. Weekly encyclopedia and dishware promotions were a clever marketing tactic used by supermarkets to ensure customer loyalty. To keep housewives coming back, grocery stores would offer a new piece of a matching set every week at a discounted price, or even for free with a minimum purchase. One week you might get volume 1 of an encyclopedia, and the next week you returned to buy volume 2. Other stores offered beautiful ceramic dishware sets or crystal drinking glasses. Families would patiently build their collections over several months, resulting in many baby boomers growing up with the exact same floral dinner plates in their homes. As the retail landscape shifted and big box discount stores emerged, these continuity programs lost their appeal. The days of completing your home library while buying milk are long gone. Carryout boys and parcel pickup lanes provided a level of personalized customer service unheard of in today's self-checkout era. After the cashier rang up your items, a dedicated bagger would carefully pack your groceries into sturdy paper sacks. They wouldn't just hand them to you. They would load the bags into a metal cart and push them all the way out to your car. Many larger supermarkets even featured a specialized parcel pickup lane. You would get a numbered plastic tag, drive your car around to the front loading zone, and the staff would bring your groceries out. As labor costs rose and plastic bags made it easier for shoppers to carry their own goods, this complimentary service was slowly phased out. Today, finding someone to help load your car is a rare luxury. Returnable glass beverage bottles were the standard way Americans purchased milk and soda before the rise of single-use plastics. Beverages were sold in thick, heavy glass bottles that required you to pay a small deposit at the checkout counter. After your family finished the drinks, you would save the empty bottles in wooden crates and lug them back to the grocery store on your next trip. The store clerk would count your empties and refund your deposit or apply the credit to your grocery bill. The bottles were then shipped back to the local bottling plant to be washed, sterilized, and refilled. This closed-loop recycling system was highly efficient, but incredibly heavy for expanding national brands. By the 1980s, the convenience of lightweight disposable plastic bottles caused this eco-friendly tradition to completely disappear. In-aisle coffee grinders provided one of the most distinct and memorable aromas of the mid-century grocery shopping experience. Before pre-ground vacuum-sealed coffee bricks dominated the market, many shoppers bought their coffee beans whole. Supermarkets, most notably the A&P, featured large industrial red coffee grinders right in the middle of the aisle or at the checkout counter. You would select your bag of 8 o'clock coffee beans, pour them into the hopper, select your preferred grind size, and flip the switch. The loud, rumbling noise of the grinder would echo through the store, followed immediately by the rich smell of freshly ground coffee. As instant coffee and pre-packaged grounds became the convenient choice for busy households in the late 20th century, these heavy machines were removed. Now, that incredible store-wide coffee aroma is just a fond memory. Mechanical kiddie rides were a staple at the front of almost every neighborhood grocery store, providing a brief moment of joy for restless children. For just a shiny penny, and later a nickel or a dime, kids could climb onto a mechanical horse, a miniature fire engine, or a futuristic rocket ship. The most famous of these was Sandy the Mechanical Horse, which became an iconic symbol of American childhood in the 1950s and 60s. Parents would use the promise of a ride as a bribe to keep their kids well-behaved while navigating the aisles. The ride would buck and sway for about a minute, giving parents a brief rest. Over time, maintenance costs and liability concerns caused these charming machines to vanish. Today, finding a working mechanical horse outside a supermarket is incredibly rare. Cigarette vending machines were once a completely normal sight in the lobbies and vestibules of grocery stores across the country. These large, brightly lit mechanical boxes featured rows of pull knobs or push buttons, each corresponding to a different brand of tobacco. You simply dropped in your coins, pulled the heavy metal knob, and a fresh pack of cigarettes would drop into the dispensing tray. There were no age verification cameras or ID scanners. Anyone with enough loose change could make a purchase, making them a frequent target for curious teenagers. As public awareness of health risks grew, strict federal and state regulations were enacted to restrict underage access to tobacco. By the 1990s, laws required cigarettes to be kept strictly behind the counter, rendering these unregulated vending machines illegal in places accessible to minors. Butcher shop sawdust floors were a practical and traditional feature found in the meat departments of older independent grocery stores. Before prepackaged styrofoam trays and plastic wrap took over, the store butcher would cut, trim, and wrap your meat to order right in front of you. To keep the work area safe and clean, a thick layer of fresh wood sawdust was scattered across the floor behind the meat counter. The sawdust was incredibly effective at absorbing spilled blood, water, and slippery fat, providing traction for the butcher's boots. At the end of the day, the soiled sawdust was simply swept up and replaced with a fresh layer for the next morning. As health department regulations tightened and modern tile floors became the sanitary standard, the use of sawdust was banned, ending a rustic neighborhood tradition. So, if you could bring back one feature from these old grocery stores, what would it be? Drop a comment down below to tell us your favorite supermarket memory.